want to discuss some issues in the Megillah Esther, the book of Esther, and we will also tie it into the Parsha. How's that? We'll also tie it into last week's Parsha, which is Parshas Pekudei, and this week's Parsha, which is Parshas Vayikra. So therefore, if you want a Parsha class, you'll get a little Parsha, and if you want to know about the Megillah, you'll get more about the Megillah. It's the same theme that goes through them, which is only fitting that the Parshios running up to a holiday should be tied into the theme of the holiday. So we're going to be looking at a few places in the Megillah Esther, which is in the back of the Art Scroll Chumash on page 1252, and then we'll tell you where to go from there once we are there. So let's start with an issue first in last week's Parsha, and then we'll move into the Megillah, and then we'll move into this week's Parsha. In Parshas Pekudei, we are told that the Mishkan was completed on the first day of Nisan. It said in last week's Parsha, Perek Mem, Pasuk Beis, Hashem spoke to Moshe, Biyom HaChodesh HaRishon B'Echad B'Chodesh, on the first day of the first month, Takim es Mishkan Mon May, you shall erect the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. So the Mishkan was not erected until the first day of Nisan, which is 2 weeks before Pesach. So the Medrash comments on this and says there was a group of people called the Leitzonei Hador, the scoffers of the generation. A leitz is a scoffer, a person who denigrates values. Can look at something that is a true, beautiful value and just makes jokes about it, cuts it to pieces, scoffs about it, and therefore convinces people there is no value. So there are people like that. You know, any stand-up comedian falls into that category. He makes his profession by destroying other people. You can tell when a comedian's really bad because the more he tries to destroy other people, that's the only way he gets people to laugh. Right? What does a Jay Leno or these chevra do? They get up, they roast all the politicians, they look for people's mistakes, they highlight them, they make jokes about them. Isn't that exactly what they do? And guess what? They do that because people pay them a lot of money because they'll enjoy hearing him do that. So he's nothing more than a mirror of what society is. If he would do that and people would throw tomatoes at him, he wouldn't do that. So obviously, I'm not attacking any of these stars per se. I'm attacking the whole world. All people who are supporting him. If you go to hear a comedian and what he's doing is cutting up people and really cutting down values, then you're supporting that, and you're worse than he is because he couldn't do it if he wasn't supplying a demand that existed. So that's the idea of a leitz. And there were people called Leitzonei Hador, the scoffers of the generation. And when this is what happened. First of all, they couldn't believe that the divine presence would come back to the Jewish people after the sin of the golden calf. It was such a terrible sin, nothing could do to fix that up. Now, and what added to their reason is the following. When Moshe came down on Yom Kippur, okay, that's already in September, October, he says, Hashem wants us to build a Mishkan. And in 3 days, they had all the equipment to build a Mishkan. And they started building the Mishkan. That was a huge project. I don't know, it's on now. I don't know what's going to happen. Wait, it's off? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what I can't waste my time on this machine. Anyway, so what happened? So they were able to build the Mishkan very quickly. In real quick time. They definitely had help from Hashem in this area. They had help from Hashem in this area, and he was able to build it in. They started, you imagine, starting on Sukkot, and they were finished on Hanukkah. So that was like 2.5 months, 3 months. It was done. Half of Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. Less than 3 months. Then Haman was filled with rage. Why is he filled with rage? However, it seemed contemptible to him to lay hands on Mordechai alone, for they had made known to him the people of Mordechai. So Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the entire kingdom of Achashverosh, the people of Mordechai. So what happens? He's got everything he can want, and there's just one Jew Who doesn't bow down? So what is that? That just spoiled his whole day. Not his whole day, spoiled his whole life. You know, something didn't go the way he wanted. Now let's look at this. Mordechai does not bow down to him. Is he still the viceroy? He's still the viceroy. Who is Mordechai at this point in the story? Nobody special. He's not an appointed messenger of the king. He's not a minister. He's not a guy in the cabinet. He's a regular Jew, a rabbi. Big deal. And he didn't bow down to him. Just when he gets angry. So now think about it, Haman. Let's look at the realities here. You got everything going for you. So this one Jew doesn't bow down to him. So ignore it. So he doesn't have presence of mind, does he? So what does he do? He's you know what? That's going to kill all the Jews. Okay, now Haman, you're a guy. Obviously, Haman was a very big power seeker. You know, is killing all the Jews really something good for your cause? Because really, even Achashverosh, as much as he hated the Jews, he didn't want to kill the Jews initially, right? So Haman's going in a very dangerous path, as it were, just because he got upset one time he got upset. You know, one Jew's not bowing down to him, he just loses it. When everything has to go. I mean, everything. We have no idea what kind of power, what kind of honor, what kind of this. So one Jew is about honor. You know, that would be as stupid as if somebody would send me a nasty letter. They don't like the way I gave a class, and I let it bother me the whole day. One person says, so you don't like it, fine. It bothered me the whole day. You know, I have to kill him and his family and all his relatives because he said my class wasn't good.
Wasn't it deeper than that?
No, we're going to see. You're going to see it keeps happening over and over here. It wasn't. We're not talking about a methodical man who says, you know, my goal in life is to destroy the Jews and let me methodically go about destroying them. It was a one-off. It was from that instant, but that's the way it is, I'm killing the whole Jewish people.
But there was 15% of the population was Jewish. Wasn't it?
Doesn't matter what the percent was Jewish. You don't, there was no cause to start a whole Holocaust because one guy didn't bow down to it. It's saying clearly, he saw he didn't bow down to him. It's not like, you know, like he spent years and years studying and analyzing and this and that, and now he's come to the conclusion. They're saying this is what started it going. It was triggered a quick response once, but it's not just once. You see, it happens 3 times, so it's not just a coincidence. 3 times is a chazaka. Then we have after the first. Let's see, let's get the order straight over here. Then the king could not... so the king now... Mordechai is invited, Haman's invited to the party. And they make a party, and he was the only one invited. He's really happy. He's leaving the party. Now he even has more honor now, right? He has more honor now. He's the only guy invited to a private party the queen makes. Things are really going good for him, right? And then what happens, as he's leaving, very happy, he's really happy. And now Haman sees Mordechai, and Mordechai does not get up, doesn't stir. It's the old story, it's been happening for weeks already. He's furious with Mordechai. And he can barely hold himself back from strangling him on the spot. So he goes and he goes home, he tells his wife, he talks about all the wealth, all the honor, all the kids, how the king has raised me, everything. And he says, you know what? And she's the only one who invited me to the party. And tomorrow I'm also called for a party. I mean, it's mamish, it's amazing. And all this isn't worth anything to me every time I see Mordechai the Jew sitting in the Shar HaMelech. It's blowing a gut over this. Let it go, man. And therefore... the wife says, you know, if it really bothers you so much, go right now and ask the king to hang him. Spontaneous response. Now, it's just like a well thought out plan. Right? It's just goes right to the king. And we know what happens. That night, the king has a dream. He can't sleep. He sees Haman's coming in. And he figured, you know what, I can't sleep. You know, he looked at the book of records. He saw that he never rewarded Mordechai for he saved his life. So he says to Haman, okay, you know, what would you do to a person that the king wants to honor? And Haman thought he was talking about himself. And Haman says, well, you should dress him in royal garments and lead him through a horse, and says, this is what is done to the one who does the will of the king, blah, 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 blah. And Mordechai and Achashverosh says, that's amazing, that's great idea. Now go right now, yeah, and go lead Mordechai. And do everything you're supposed to do. And he does that. And then what happens at the end of the parade? Mordechai goes back to the king, Shar HaMelech, and Haman nidchaf al beiso ovel v'chafui rosh. And Haman what? And Haman hurried home despondent and with his head covered. Again, what's the problem? So the king makes you give honor to Mordechai. Again, Haman, you're still the viceroy, you're still the viceroy. You're still the richest man, you're the richest man. You're still the only one that get invited to both parties, you only get invited to both parties. Still the same crazy Jews not bowing down to you? And you're all depressed out, your head's covered? He's in a major depression. He's in a major depression because there's one Jew who's not bowing down to him. So you see, 3 times he feels totally humiliated, totally disgraced. So at these points of time, he loses his Yishuv Adas, his entire grip of reality over relatively small incidences time and time again. Right? And he's losing it. Now, where does this come from? Haman's drive, his she'ifas, his longings and yearnings, you see, was for the entire world. He really wanted, and this is what Amalek's all about, they want everything. Right? If you recall the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's one of the few movies, the old version, not the new version. One of the few movies that if people watch television, I would recommend every child should watch that movie, right? So you have one of the characters, a girl, a very spoiled girl, and she has a whole song. She says, I want the whole world, I want everything. So it says, Daddy, I want it now. You know, it's a golden egg. Daddy, I must have it now. And the father's a wealthy guy. Like, she wanted to get a golden ticket. He had to buy like 50 million chocolate bars to find this one golden ticket for his daughter. And she's spoiled and everything. And then they go to the chocolate factory, and there's a special egg that lays golden chocolate. She says, Daddy, I have to have it, I have to have it, I have to have it. She drove crazy, and then she fell in the tube and was not seen again. Anyway, ultimately, if I don't have everything, then I have nothing. And that was Haman's drive. Like, yeah, but you got a villa, you got a pool, you don't have to worry about parnasa, you don't have to worry about your retirement, you have to cover wherever you go. But no, I have to have everything. And that's what all the descendants of Amalek are like. Adolf Hitler, Yamach Shemo, was no different. Adolf Hitler, you know, at the prime, he had everything a guy could want. He's the Reich Chancellor of Germany. Like, you know, it's not a small thing being the Reich Chancellor of Germany. He built up the army in incredible ways. They're willing to give him half of Europe. He had everything he wants. Now, the rest of your life, he's in power. He's got everything he wants. And more than that, I mean, but no, he's got to kill the Jews. But just killing the Jews wasn't enough. First of all, he had to be in control of the whole world and right now. It wasn't. You couldn't do it slowly. No, I got to take on Britain, and I got to take on Russia, and I got to take on the United States. I got to take them all on at one time. I have to hold the world now, and I got to kill all the Jews at the same time. You know, so that's what Amalek is all about, and that's what Haman is over here. He's not planning on sharing anything with Achashverosh. He has to have it all, and he's jeopardizing his whole plan of world conquest over one Jew. To destroy all the Jews, spend your time something more productive to get what you want in life. But the answer is, when you lose your Yishuv Adas, it really undermines all your dreams and all your hopes. If he had any bit of Yishuv Adas, he would realize that destroying all the Jews will not further his plans for world dominion. And ultimately, he got killed because of this. It was his own lack of Yishuv Adas that destroys him. That's what destroyed him. That's what destroyed him. On the other hand, now we take a look at Mordechai. Don't forget, remember, he was in such a hurry. What did he do? What did he do before he went to the king to task the king to kill Mordechai? What did he do? He went and built the gallows already. Right? He already built the gallows. So, and that's the very same gallows that he hung from the next day. There's much more to the story. I don't have time to get into all the deals. But clearly, this was the character of Haman, a man with no yeshiv adas. Mordechai, on the other hand, acts totally different. And even the wording suggests that. It always says, Mordechai Yoshev, Yoshev. He's sitting. He's steady. Bishar HaMelech, in the gateways of the king. In other words, yeshiv adas means you know that God is in charge. You know that God runs things. And you never in the Megillah find Mordechai panicking. He never panics. Jews don't panic. At the lowest time, the decree was made. It's put up all over the world that the Jews on this date are open season, kill all the Jews. It's impossible to turn it around. It's the United Nations, but not this United Nations. They can't do anything. This was a powerful United Nations. They all would listen to Achashverosh. Everywhere. It's open season, kill the Jew day. Now, think about it. God forbid, this is what happened on the Holocaust. What would happen if the whole world says in 3 days every Jew's going to get killed, and all your Muslim friends are already looking at your houses and saying, look, I like that house of yours. That's exactly what happened in the Purim story. Their friendly Persian neighbors said, well, we're already starting to take things from your house because we're going to have it in a few months anyway. So how would we react? Most of us would go nuts. You lose it. Right? Now that's exactly the time period was going on. It was the mamish pre-Holocaust. It was the Holocaust was written, signed, and sealed. The law is signed and sealed, can never be revoked. And all the major there's no what are you calling politicking you can do. What do you call it when you lobbying? You can't lobby anybody. There's no lobby. They all hate you. And you can't. Where are we going to run? You can't run to any country in the world because every country in the world is under the domain. They're all going to kill you. Okay. So what does Mordechai do at that lowest time, even during the worst time of the decree? What is he doing? He's giving a class in the yeshiva about how to make the offering with the mincha. Calm. We've got to learn Torah, right? So he can give a complicated Talmudic shir about this mincha while the whole Jewish world is in danger. So what's going on? The answer is Mordechai knows one thing. We heard about the decree. He told Esther, you have to go to the king. Esther says, you know what? Let's get all the Jews together. Let's pray for 3 days. Let's fast for 3 days. Let's do tshuva. Because that we know is part of the things Jews do when they're in trouble. And Mordechai said, okay, that's a good idea. He makes an announcement. We're all going to fast. We're all going to pray. We're all going to do that for 3 days. And then what he says, and that's something we all have to learn, he says, you know, God, I've made all my effort that I can do. Hashem, I know it from the beginning. It's you to decide what the outcome is. This is not a stoic way of looking at life, but rather it's, Hashem, you've told us what you want us to do. I've done what we can do. That's all that we can do. And now, whatever you will do is going to be the best decision that can be done under the circumstances. So what am I worrying about? If for a minute I thought that maybe God, you're not right all the time. See, most people, deeply in their mind, they think God's right most of the time, but not all the time. And especially when it affects you, that's when He's never right. Now, let's be honest. Right? So if you feel that way, then of course you've got to really make sure to protect yourself, because God could never help you. But Mordechai says, listen, I know what the rules are. You pray to God, you do tshuva, you do everything that's in your power to try to persuade God to maybe look at the situation, maybe to improve the situation. But at the end of the day, we've done whatever we can do. Worrying and pacing back and forth and doing irrational activities isn't going to make anything better, and it doesn't make any sense. And then he just sits back and let's learn. There's nothing more you could do. It's interesting because the Midrash says when the Jews were invited to the party with Achashverosh, so Achashverosh wanted all the Jews to come, so he promised all the food would be glatt kosher. It would be 100% kosher. Everything was kosher. But the Midrash points out something very interesting. Everything was kosher except for one thing. The dishes were treif. Now, so So Mordechai said, listen guys, you can't go to the meal. You know why? Because the dishes are treif. So he said, Mordechai, and the Medrash says the Jews were incredulous. They said, listen Mordechai, we've done worse averos already. Eating from treif dishes, if you look in the scheme of averos, we're not saying it's a good thing to do, but in the scheme of averos, it's not the worst avera. Immorality is a worse avera than that. Cheating in business is a worse avera than that. It's only the absorbed taste in the utensil that's going into the food. It's okay. You're not allowed to do it, but it's not the biggest avera. And they kind of said to Mordechai, listen, we've done much worse averos than this. And for this, we should insult the king and not go to the party? Do you realize that we've been in exile for so many years, and he's the most powerful man in the world, and if he wants us to go to a party, we got to go to the party, don't you understand? Where's their Yishuv Hadas? Yeah, but God says you don't eat that kind of food. Well, just because you want to be very righteous, and you have such concerns for your frumkeit, we should insult the king? Right? You just play this, 2,000 years later in contemporary society. Should I insult my boss and not eat the fish platter at the lunch in the treif restaurant? But it's only fish and vegetables.
Well, this was their lives,
He didn't say he was going to kill them. He just made a party. She just could have said, we defer for religious reasons. Our religion does not allow it. How many people, for their lives, have to work on Shabbos? There's not a creator. Hashem said, keep the Shabbos. Hashem says, you follow the Torah, I'll take care of you. Your boss says, if you follow the Torah, I'll fire you. So, why do you get so nervous about the boss? Isn't there a bigger boss? The answer is, we don't have Yishuv Hadas. Yeah, God, it's true what you said, but not for me. Not when I have a boss who's telling me that if I don't work on Shabbos, I'll be fired. And maybe not even fired, but my career won't catapult the way I planned it to catapult. It's all, this is how the HR gets us. It's because we don't have Yishuv Hadas, right? We don't have that equanimity to say, listen, there's a God, there's a creator, I'm supposed to make my efforts, I apply for a job, and I do, and I'll find a job. That doesn't require me to desecrate the Shabbos.
Weren't they going to break the vessels there?
They were going to bring the vessels of the temple, bring them.
The holy temple, and that is why God said, don't you ever go there to that party?
Yes, that's another reason, but the Medrash specifically says this avera of the utensils were treif. That was another point. That's also true.
Have gone.
Of course, but forget about that. You don't go if the plates aren't kosher.
They're going to break the vessels and
not break them. They were going to
see that.
Correct. That's another reason they shouldn't have gone. You're right. There's many reasons why they shouldn't have gone. But I'm just quoting the Medrash that talks about this specific issue, that the utensils were treif. Utensils were treif. So what if a person's about tshuva and his parents want him to eat in their house and they have treif utensils? So what are you supposed to say to them? You say, I love you, my dear parents, but I can't eat on those plates. You're fanatical. You're this, you're that. And some people buckle under the pressure. And, you don't have Yishuv Hadas. You say, listen, God, you say it in a nice way. You don't try, I love you very much, but, I've become religious and I can't eat on those. But we made everything go. We ordered something. Yeah, but the dishes aren't, If you want, I'll spend a Sunday afternoon. I'll kosher everything for you. No, you're fanatical. You're crazy. Yeah, okay, but, you can't make me nervous from that. It's the same thing. If you believe there's a God in the world, you believe there's a God. God made you born to this irreligious family? Yes. God inspired you to become religious? Yes. So God wants you to stay religious. And don't get so excited. There really is a God who will take care of you. Right? So this is the psychology of a person who doesn't have Yishuv Hadas. Now, there's many facets to this, and there's many ways it applies, but, sometimes a person without Yishuv Hadas, he feels he's in a very low state, a low place, because they make all kinds of calculations about their mitzvahs. Let's say I give a class from time to time on certain halachas. I would teach a halacha in Shul. I'd say, I just want to tell everybody a halacha. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to tear the toilet paper in the bathroom. When you go to the bathroom, you can't tear it off. You have to have pre-cut tissue paper, whatever. So you can imagine, someone come to me, Rabbi, you know what? I want you to know. You know what I do on Shabbos? I watch television. I drive in a car. I go out with non-Jewish girls. I eat treif. And you're worrying that I should worry about tearing toilet paper on Shabbos? And if I don't tear the toilet paper on Shabbos, that's going to make me any better of a Jew? So, and this is a mentality of, it's either all or nothing. If I'm not going to be a full Jew, I don't have to be any Jew. Which is one of those great lines, when, and a couple weeks ago, again, I had another incident of this. Someone was asking me, they have a job interview, they've been out of work for a while, this and that. They get an interview, should they wear their kippah to the interview? So I said, why shouldn't you wear the kippah? Well, I'm not so observant as you are, Rabbi. As a matter of fact, I'm not one of the most observant people in the world. As a matter of fact, I don't keep all of Shabbos, and I don't keep all of kosher, I don't do all that, and it would be very hypocritical for me to wear a kippah. So I love when people say that, because they just countered their own selves when they did that. I say, well, first of all, why is that hypocritical? Putting on a kippah means you're a Jew and you believe there's a God on top of you. So yeah, but I don't do everything. I say, I'll tell you one thing. In the workplace, you're the most moral person in that place. I asked him, do you cheat on your wife? Do you sleep around with all the secretaries and all the ladies? Never. You're already more holy than almost everybody in your workplace. They're going to look at you and say, why are you not keeping a shop? They don't even know what you're not keeping. They don't even know what to keep to not keep. You understand? Who would know if he's not keeping Shabbos? A goy would know he's not keeping Shabbos? And who? There's people with kippahs on at the work. Obviously they're not, because he's afraid to put on his kippah. So nobody with a kippah on anyway. Even as a Jew, how observant would the Jews in such a workplace be? Not very. So what are you worried about? And Rabbi said, the fact you're doing that mitzvah, that's going to strengthen you, and you're going to be much more careful about everything else. And I said the opposite. You are probably the most ethical person in the place, and they should know that a Jew is the most ethical person. And you probably put that kippah that says Jew, 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 ethical, ethical, ethical. And you can make a Kiddush Hashem, and they'll counterbalance all the things you've still been muffing up, because you need a lot of kapara for the averos that you do, and this will be a teshuvah for that. So I don't know what the person decided at the end. No one ever tells me how it turns out. We'll find out probably in a few months. If he gets the job, doesn't get the job, maybe it'll be a Shul story one day. But anyway, people, when you get into this state of despair, you say, what's the point anyway? They're falling into depression. That's just like Haman. It's either all or nothing. Haman says, if I can't have the whole shooting back, it's not worthwhile. If I'm missing one, I can't have it. And Mordechai is telling the Jews, the dishes are not kosher. Mordechai, leave us alone already. We're pretty rotten in many more ways. Is this going to make it any better? But Mordechai was coming from a point of Yishuv Hadas. Mordechai is saying the main thing is don't fall into despair. We should do everything that we're capable of doing. You're right, we must have been bad for God to destroy our temple, and it's still bad we haven't returned yet, but we still have to do what we can to be good Jews. In what areas I can't succeed, even if I failed in other areas, don't make that the mindset. Well, since I failed in A, B, C, D, why should I bother with F? You know why? Because God's giving you F. So giving you that situation, go do that situation at least. Do what you can. If you're not falling in despair, you'll do what you can. If you fall in despair, then whatever I do isn't worth anything, and that's where the person gets into depression. Right? And that's what and Mordechai is saying, that's what we especially have to do when there's times of danger, times of trouble. You have to do what you can. So now, this is the different mindsets. That's really what the whole Megillah is about. Yishuv Hadas, not Yishuv Hadas. So, and really we look at Achashverosh, he doesn't have much Yishuv Hadas either, but I don't have time for him. So let's go back to the Korban Mincha. Let's go back to this week's Parsha. We know we bring a Korban Mincha, flour offering. Mincha comes from the word Menucha. Menucha means rest, tranquility. Menucha Sanefesh. Tranquility. Now the Korban Mincha was usually the poor man's offering. He was so poor, he couldn't afford a steer. He couldn't afford a lamb. Couldn't afford a chicken. Not even a turtle dove. That's even like the smallest bird possible. All he could afford was a half a pound of flour. That's it. Now, the poor man's offering is the secret of Yishuv Hadas. Why? Imagine if you were that man. You have to go to the temple, and you're seeing everybody with their steers, and their sheep, and their chickens, and their turtle doves. And you come with your epistle garnished of flour. Right? What might the poor person think? He's saying, what would God be interested in my insignificant gift? I might as well forget it and not bring anything. What's it worth it? Look what everyone else has got. I have nothing. You know? So, you know, that's not just in those days. It's even today. Okay, let's look at our davening. You know, some people's davening is like really lousy. I'm in the synagogue. I can't read a word. I don't know anything. So I'm just sitting there like a lumpkin. What's going to synagogue? What's going to synagogue? Well, let's say a guy knows how to daven, but he doesn't pay attention. He can't concentrate. He's just all over the place. I have no kavanah. I have no concentration in davening. So you know what? Since I can't concentrate in davening, hey, why should I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the morning services? Now, if I was the rabbi, they think, right? If I was the rabbi, well, the rabbi really davens with lots of kavanah. He gets 45 minutes out of 45 minutes of davening. Oh, that's worth it to get up. If you're praying the whole 45 minutes, I can understand why the rabbi gets up. But me, maybe I'll have 30 seconds of concentration. The rest of the time, I'm daydreaming anyway. I'm half asleep. I'm trying to fight sleep. For 30 seconds, maybe I was paying attention. Shema Yisrael. Yeah, maybe I paid attention there. Maybe for the sick people, I paid attention. Made the bracha. Did you ever notice when you daven Shemon Esrei? You put yourself together. Next thing you know, you're halfway through the Shemon Esrei. What happened? How did I get to the middle? And always is by the part for the sick people. Some of that wakes you up. I have a friend who's sick. They remember that. And next thing you know, you're taking the Jesus back. What happened to the davening? So when I read it, when that starts out, he said, so why should I go to Shul? And he kept all kinds of excuses. I can't make it to Shul. Because that's like the flower offering. That's your flower. I really don't have much to give. My prayer is meaningless because I have such little to offer. I have such little to offer at Hashem in my davening and my mitzvahs and everything else, and I never can really control where my eyes are looking. Why even bother? So the person who is spiritually poor can think I have such little to offer, it's not worth it, so I shouldn't bother. So that's why the beginning of Sefer Vayikra, the new book of the Torah, talks about the mincha. It uses the word v'nefesh ki sakriv, a soul that brings an animal. Meaning your soul that brings an animal. Why do you call it a soul? Because the rabbis say, because we're talking about a poor man. A poor man, he's bringing, that's all he's got. That's his soul. That's a little bit. And from this, the rabbis on a very important rule. It doesn't matter if you give a lot. It doesn't matter if you give a little. The main thing is you should focus your heart to heaven. Meaning, do what you can do it properly, be real, and Hashem's happy with that. Don't say to yourself, well, since I can't give a lot, I shouldn't do anything. It's nonsense. It's what's really in your heart. But you've got to do what you can do, you do top notch. Top notch. All you can bring is flour, bring it with the best of intentions. Now, you might ask the question, I understand. So you're saying if a guy gives a little bit of flour and he does it for the sake of heaven, that's a wonderful thing. Well, how is that compared to the guy who has a lot of money and does it all for the sake of heaven? Doesn't seem that the guy with a lot of money doesn't think he's doing more? How can you say it's equal? Doesn't matter a lot, doesn't matter a little, the answer is, first of all, Hashem has a very special affection for the poor person. Because the poor person comes with a broken heart, and he's offering from a broken heart, and feels his vulnerability more than others, and probably relies more on Hashem. It's very hard for a rich person, generally speaking, to give to God with feelings of vulnerability. It's hard for a rich man to say, God, I owe it all to you. God, I don't know where to turn to the next day if not you. Very hard for a rich person to think that way. For a poor person, it's not that hard to say, God, I don't know what I'm going to do without your help. And that's why generally, even the poor guy with a little bit isn't going to be any worse off than the big guy who's giving a lot. So the poor man, what the Torah is instructing us, is that the poor man has to have this Yishuv Hadas. That mincha offering says, do your little bit, what you can, and you shouldn't feel lost in all the calculations of, in the global scheme, what I'm doing doesn't appear to be much. You know, you could say, you're in Shal Shudas, you hear guys making a bracha, should you make a bracha? And I said, why should I make a bracha? The whole day long I don't make a bracha. No, but right now you're got a little sensitive to make a bracha. Make a bracha properly. For 10 seconds, make a bracha. But the whole day, you don't make a bracha, but make it now. What does it matter to God? I made a bracha. It's 50 times. Just do right now what you can. That's the idea from the mincha. If you give more, you give less. Doesn't matter if you're a spiritually wealthy Jew, a spiritually poor Jew. Stop making calculations. Right now, do the right thing regardless of the past, regardless of the future, and that's what you have to. That's Yishavadas. That's what the Korban Mincha is all about. It strengthens every Jew. A handful of flour, but give it with the best of intentions, and don't worry about anything else. God can forgive you even with a handful of flour. Don't worry, the other guy's got big fat cows. He spent $5,000 on a prize steer to give to the base of English and only got his 35 cents worth of flour. Don't worry. Don't let the HR fool you into this. Don't get into despair from this. So the Jews, this was the whole discussion between Mordechai and the Jews in the beginning of the story of this generation. The Jews felt we can go to the party. Forget about the plates. We're spiritually impoverished. What's it going to matter? And Mordechai is saying, no, it matters. It still matters. Don't fall into despair. You've lost your Yishavadas. God gave you mitzvahs. Do the next mitzvah you can. But what about the past? I'm a fake. Forget about these calculations. Right now you can do a mitzvah. Right now do the mitzvah. Finished. Right? That's what Mordechai said. It's interesting. The Jerusalem Talmud has an interesting story. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish were going to the mikveh, and a poor man asked them for tzedakah. So they said, you know what? I'll tell you what. We're going to the mikveh right now. When we come out of the mikveh, we'll give you right after we come out of the mikveh. So they came out of the mikveh, and the poor man had already died. I guess they miscalculated how badly he needed the tzedakah. So what did they do? They said, well, we didn't help him while he was alive, so let's personally be involved in burying him. Not just to call up Steele's Chapel to pick up the body, but we'll personally bury him. So what's the message of that story? Because, you'd think if you didn't give money to the guy and the guy died, you figure, oh man, all is lost. We must be the worst guys in the world. How insensitive were we? How did we let this guy die? Oh, woe was to us. But that wasn't the point. That point is, they said, you know what, we made a big mistake, but what do you think God would want us to do now, after the mistake? That we should bury him. So you do what you can now. See, the problem is we're so worried about all the past, and we let that past decide how our present should be, and that's totally wrong. Okay, let's go back to Yaakov and Esav. Now everything's falling into place over here. Okay, Esav's coming to wipe out Yaakov. What would be the normal reaction? If you were Yaakov, what would be your normal reaction? Panic. Panic. You're going up against an army you cannot defeat. So what do you do? Listen, I know there's a rule. You make your effort. What's the effort? Prepare for battle. You've got to prepare. Divide up the camp, daven, and prepare a gift. Oh, you figure the gift. What kind of gift would you give somebody? You really want to smear them up and bribe them up. What would you give them? If you had to give someone the best gift you could think, what would you give? Jewels, diamonds, silver, gold. What did he give them? Livestock.
Wasn't that crazy?
Well, there are better things. So the pasuk says he gave, which was haba biyado, of what he had. Yaakov said, if I had jewels and diamonds, that would be a much better gift. But all I can give is what I have. If all I can give is what I have, he's certainly not going to like that gift. Why am I wasting my time giving the gift? And what was this gift called? A mincha. Why should I probably give him the mincha? It's not such a great gift. But we said already, doesn't matter more, doesn't matter less. The main thing is how you direct your focus and concentration to Hashem. He said, maybe there's a better way, but I haven't got the resources for it. So say, it won't help to give the gift. I'm going to die anyway. So I might as well enjoy the last few minutes of my life, and let me just, eat a good steak, and then they'll kill me. Right? He says, no. This is the tools Hashem gave me. Let me make the effort with what I have. And that's it. And what is incredible is after he did that, he went to sleep and slept like a baby. To say he wasn't worried anymore. Because what's going to happen? Either tomorrow Hashem will save me, or Hashem will have me get killed. It's not in my control anymore. He didn't panic. He didn't lose his menucha. He said, even though I didn't give the best, it doesn't matter. He knew the best he could do, and he'd go to sleep. And we would have thought differently than that. And that's the root. That's the root of the whole story. The whole Purim story comes out of this first mincha that Yaakov had. Yaakov maintained his yishuv adas under these terrible conditions. And even though it's not the scenario I would have liked, and it's definitely putting me behind the 8 ball, but if this is the position Hashem put me in, and I've done what I can do, then that's it. I stop worrying, and that's it. And it's the same liquid man all the time. Esther is taken. Okay, so now you understand. You understand why Haman is saying to Achashverosh, your little kamitza of flour destroyed my silver. All the silver gave. Even yet Haman wasn't destroyed yet. But he saw what's coming already. He's looking at Mordechai. Why aren't you shaking in your boots? Why aren't you shaking your boots? Why aren't you terrified? Why don't I see you trembling in front of me? You want to know something that really got the Nazis the most upset, the SS officers, when they would see Jews acting calmly. It drove them nuts. They wanted to see the Jews screaming and yelling. That would give them so much pleasure. See how we could rattle their yishuv adas? But if the tzaddik would look them straight in the face and say, I'm sorry, it's Shabbos, I can't do it. What would be the normal German response? They would be the ones going in rage. Because they'd have to have everything. Everything meant totally destroying every Jew and destroying them while they're alive. And if one Jew could stand up in front of an SS officer and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do what you say. They went nuts. Just shoot the guy. No, they'd go livid, scream and yell and this and that and torture them. I'm going to make you back. Who was the one who was in control? The German officers were never in control. The holy Jews who understood, I've done the best I can. There's nothing more I can do. I daven to Hashem, and now I'm going to live the way I'm supposed to live. Either I live or either I die. I finish this with Hashem. You see so many stories. I know personally. People say, sorry, the guy said he wasn't going to eat. The Nazi gun, he shot him right in the head. They left, but the Nazi only grazed him. And everybody left, and he got up and went on his way and lived to tell the story. Either Hashem's going to have you live or die. Either Hashem wants you dead or Hashem's going to have you live. That's it. To be nervous, what's to be nervous about? I've done what I can do. I know that's a creator. Either the bullet is marked with my name or it's not marked with my name, because Hashem wants it or not. So that's why Haman understood, I'm the one, I keep falling apart when I don't get everything I want. Achashverosh said, listen, there's no temple. There's a decree to kill us, and you're learning about all the laws of the temple. If there ever will be another temple, if you imagine there's going to be another temple, didn't look like there's going to be another temple. Well, we're going to learn about, God wants us to learn. We're going to learn about the temple. Either you're going to kill me or you're not going to kill me. But I still have to do what I can do. That's all. And that is, so now, when Esther was taken into the king's palace, and that first time, it's saying, do you think Mordechai should have got rattled then? It was his wife, remember. It wasn't just his niece. It was his wife taken to the palace. How would you act if the king took your wife to the palace in such a disgraceful way? You'd go nuts. You'd lose it. Right? So what does he do? Every day, he just goes to the Sharamela and he sees what's going on. I have to make an effort. I'll make an effort. I go to the palace, ask questions, see what's happening. And the Gemara says, the Yerushalmi says, that's the Ayelas HaShachar. That's the beginning of the morning. That was the turning point of the story. Why? How is that the beginning of redemption? How is it the beginning of redemption? It wasn't even close to redemption. The Jews didn't fast. They didn't do anything yet. The answer is, he never lost his yishuv adas from the beginning. And that's the beginning of all redemption. God will only redeem people who believe that God can redeem them. And he keeps doing what he normally does. He goes to the yeshiva, he gives his classes, he gives his mincha offering, he does the little he can do, and he knows that the whole aspect of Amalek is Amalek says you have to have everything or nothing, and really he understands that that's rooted, believe it or not, in arrogance. A person walks around depressed many times is because they really are very arrogant people. Why? Because what's the rule about an arrogant person? Arrogant person thinks he's smarter than God and has to have everything. If he doesn't have everything, God made a big mistake. So he's smarter than God. And we don't have everything, then you become depressed. So why are you depressed? Because you're arrogant. Right? If Amalek can't get everything they want, then he doesn't want anything. You know what happens when you don't get anything you want? Remember when you were a teenager, and some adults do this too? The young children don't know how to deal with this. They don't have to. That's why we don't oblige anybody in misses till they're at least 13. What happens to some children when they don't get their way? What do? They stomp out of the house, or they stop upstairs, slam the door, and if they're smart, they take a whole bucket of ice cream. And they just eat a whole bucket of ice cream while they're watching television. They don't want to talk to anybody. They self-destruct. Right? That's what happens. Right? You know, and it's all arrogance. Because that little kid thinks he's smarter than every adult in the room. Of course he is, right? And why would the adult not give it to me my way, right? Problem is, most of these kids never grow up and they become adults who want the same thing, right? That loss of Yeshiva Das, that is Amalek. That is Amalek. So Haman, because if I can't... Now the truth of the matter, don't we have that every day? When we start a day, don't we have an agenda, what we want to get accomplished that day? And then right when you start the day, the car doesn't start. Whoa. Now you know what that means. The car doesn't start. I wait for CA to come. Of course, it didn't start on the coldest day, and the wait time is an hour and a half. Right? And you know, and then until it finally gets towed, and this and that, and it's going to be $800 because your hip escalator broke, and yeah, it's very hard to do maintenance and this and that, to repair this and that, and all these things, and then one thing to the next. But all these plans, right? And then the whole day is ruined. Might as well go back to bed and go to sleep. The whole day is ruined. You know, it's like unbelievable. So, well, maybe not. Maybe God wants the day to be ruined, and all He wants you is to not yell at anybody today. I had this yesterday. So I was trying to deal with the government. It's like insane. You want to get anything done with any ministry, it's like insane. You call up, especially if it deals with cars. You know, I had to do something with the government in a car. It was a little bit complicated, and I knew it was complicated. So I called twice to the government. I said, "Tell me exactly what I need to do when I go down to the bureau. You know, tell me exactly." I said, "Okay, let me repeat it back to you. Okay, I need this, this, and this, and this, and this." Yes. And I said, "Are you sure I don't need this?" "No, you don't need it at all. If you want to bring it, you can bring it." Okay, fine. And this was like really it's unbelievable. So I'm there, I'm waiting 45 minutes for my turn. Then I come, and the lady says, "Well, you know," I said, "I know, I have all this stuff." Then they come up with something that nobody told me about. Something that I said, "Oh, I've got a copy." "No, you need the original." And it's like an original, you can never get the original. It's like one of these originals, you can't get it. It will take you like 6 months. You have to do a Brinks armed robbery to get the things that they want from you. An original document, the original. I had it copied, and I you know, and I say, and when I walked in, I said, if I plan to not be successful on this trip, but Hashem knows that He's, you know, no matter how many times I'm going to call, you get a different answer when you come there, and you go there, and they don't know what's going on. Yeah. And one goes to the next. You had 4 people who collectively maybe had intelligence of who knows what. And one said, "Can you do this?" I said, "I don't want to do it." One works, "I don't want to do it." I don't want to do it. You can see the one. And they, we'll call. But they only like ask half a question. And when you ask a question, "Oh, we'll have to call again." We have to wait another half hour. We're waiting line to through the people calling the government. The government's trying to get a hold of the government. They can't get through to the government. Like, I'm there for 2 hours already. Then they finally sit down and says, well, this is what you really need. He says, "Okay, thank you." And I said, I said, can I call the office and maybe I can have it rushed here because let me get it before clothing? They said, "You have a phone?" "We don't have a phone." "No, phone? There's a pay phone." I said, "Oh, how charitable of you." And I look in, I only have 1 quarter, not 2. It's like, it's just one. I said, "Hashem, you're doing a good job. You're really doing an amazing job." Then I'm looking around, I say to my son, I say, "Which kind person is waiting the line you think I could ask them to borrow a cell phone?" So before I could answer that question, an Israeli just comes over and says, I said, "Okay, can I borrow your phone, please?" He said, "Sure, Bavada." Right? I'm saying, so if you don't have Yeshiva Das, and then there's other people there who don't have Yeshiva Das, you can tell, they got these tattoos like all over. Like mamish, like all over. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? And the kind of, and everybody's getting this. Everyone goes and says, "Oh, well, you don't have this, you don't have this." Nobody tells you. And they're swearing and they're dissing and they're thatting. I've always thought I was going to punch somebody out there. That's okay. So, so I look at that day. You'd say I wasted 4 to 5 hours on this one little thing yesterday. So then I say, what the heck? I got to this point, Mark, physically, I said, right now I just would like to go to bed and go to sleep. But they still have so many other things. To sleep the rabbi, I still had to do a shiva call. It was going to take 2 hours. I still had to give a class, and then I had to prepare today's class. Because of those 4 hours, I had to be up at like 4 in the morning to prepare this class, right? So I said, the whole day's not gone. I still got, and again, got to start. I said, I still got to get up and I davened. I davened in a minyan 3 times today. I taught 4 Torah classes. I answered a lot of questions on the internet, Shiloh's email. So, what my problem was? Everyone's problem was, I felt I want to get 20 hours of value in this 24-hour day. 20 hours of productivity that I'm not wasting any of my time. And then I said, so I only got 12. So what's so bad about 12? But most will say, if I can't have 20, then the whole day's gone. So Yishuv Adam says, no, there's a God in the world. And I walked and I said, Hashem, I'm up to you. You want to make me stand here for 2 hours Wednesday time? I said, I had to do this. I'm the one who could do it, right? So it's up to you. You want to waste my time? You waste my time. Hashem, you know better how to use my time. You want me to wait? Just help me, because I know I could get a little bit excited. Help me that I don't say anything I shouldn't say. Help me I don't make a chil Hashem, and that I can walk out, So Baruch Hashem, and so that today I'm going to have to try again, and then when I left, I said, no, let me get it really straight, because this was like the manager. I said, well, I have to wait in line. He goes, no, you can go right to me, sir. Tomorrow you can go right to me, sir. You're not going to have to wait. I said, no, let me get it straight. You want exactly it? Yeah. Is there anything else in it? I look at all my sheets. Because please don't tell me. And as I'm saying, I said, boy, that's stupid. She's going to say yes. And if tomorrow she says no, what am I going to do? What is he going to do tomorrow? And say, oh, sir, I'm sorry, I forgot that one thing. So then what's going to happen? She's still not going to make an exception for me. One thing about government, they make no exceptions for nobody because they're free. Right? So, but I'm just saying, so that's the war of Amalek. What Amalek is, it's got to be the way I planned the day to be, and it's got to be everything the way I planned it to be. And when Amalek doesn't get that, they get all flustered, and they can't handle all those things, right? So anyway, so that's the idea of when Esther said, "Why are we being destroyed?" It says because of Zeh, Zeh Keli Anveu, because they didn't beautify the mitzvahs. Now I understand what it means. If a person feels spiritually not wealthy, then even if you're going to do a mitzvah, you're not even going to put a lot of effort in the mitzvah. You're going to say, well, what's the big deal? Why should I even make the mitzvah? For example, Jews used to be very poor in Europe, like really poor. Like yeshiva bachim in Poland, like in the early 1900s, they were really poor. They only had one shirt. Mamish, one shirt. So, now what do we do for Shabbos? We change to a nice shirt. Covered Shabbos. You have a nice, freshly pressed shirt for Shabbos. You only wear it on Shabbos. And maybe during the weekdays, not such a nice shirt. So I have a nice shirt. And these guys had one shirt. Finished. So I got one shirt. I'm a shlump now. I'd be a shlump on Shabbos. So what do? You know what they would do? They would take off the shirt and turn the shirt inside out. It was a little cleaner on the inside outside part. Clean up a little bit and wear it inside out because it was a little bit cleaner. And that was their covered Shabbos. Or they had other things they would do. They would have like half shirts. Just a part that was like the coat was like this, right? So it's this little dicky. And they put that on for Shabbos. How good is that? Doesn't look nice at all. But it's a lot better than the thing they're wearing the rest of the week. And that's my coverage. That's how I beautify the mitzvah. But you know who does that? When a person says, even if I can't really beautify it the way I want to beautify it, I still try to beautify the mitzvah. The little bit I can make it beautiful, I know it's not a spanking white shirt here. I still look like a big schlepper in the whole shul. So I might as well be a complete schlepper. Why does it bother to even do that? But I want to make it look a little better. So again, it's the same thing. You can buy, let's say you don't have enough money to buy the nicest esrog. Okay, still, you can buy a little. I can't get the $500 esrog. I might as well buy the cheap $18 one. But you can afford $35. Well, if I can't have the $500, why should I buy to spend more than the $18, the minimum month? Nobody can spend $35. It's also disheartening. You want to buy an esrog. It's a very disheartening thing. You want to look at a really nice esrog, a really nice one, $200. I haven't got $200 on it. Okay, you get a nicer, pretty good one, still enough for $100. Yeah, but if I can't have a $200, I'll go with the $30 one. It's still kosher. No, if you can't have it all, you can still have something. That was the problem. The Jews, they said, if I can't, we can't do the mitzvahs in the nicest way, we don't do any heater at all. And that really says that they gave up on the whole thing. So let's get back to the Mishkan and finish the story. I think the message is pretty clear, yeah. So you understand all the points. So what were the jokers of the generation saying? The Mishkan was finished. God said fold it up. And we asked, why make it work? Why put it together so fast if you're going to just put it away anyway for 3 months and just give the people room to make scoffing remarks anyway? So remember, the Mishkan was to atone for the sin of the golden calf. And what happened to the sin of the golden calf? Moshe was late 6 hours. And in 6 hours, they turned the whole place upside down. If we can't have our leader, we're going to make the golden calf. We'll make the golden calf. All is love. We're ready. Idol worshippers. We'll go kill that side. We'll go be immoral. And the whole thing falls apart. The whole sin of the golden calves, they lost their yeshiva das. So we might as well make a party where Moshe's not coming back. We're not from and forget about it. There's a secular philosopher once said, he once turned to God and said, God, you made a paradise and then threw man out. So you know what? Man now made a paradise and threw you out. So the Jewish people, they thought that all was lost. We sinned with the golden calf. Moshe's not here. There's no gold anymore. We might as well do all the Averos we want. So now, no. We have to reverse that. We have to do a kapara for that. We have to do an atonement for that. Let's build a Mishkan. So everyone gets to say, okay, good. We got a Mishkan. We're back on track. Everything's great. I says, okay, it's ready to go. Okay, let's go. I says, no, fold it up, please. We didn't fold it up. I want to have it now. No, you don't have to have it now. I want you to do a tikkun now. It's not the way you want it, and you wait. And if you can wait, and wait, and wait, till I tell you it's the time, then I know you have yeshiva das. You can trust me. And that was the biggest test of all, to wait those 3 months. That would prove that would undo the fault of the golden calf. Because when it's not the way we want it, we fall apart. But if you know there's a God in the world, He forgave you. He gave you a second set of tablets. He told you to make it. And then He said, stop. So trust Him. But it doesn't make sense. I want to do it. If I can't serve Hashem now, then there's no point. Let's just hold it. We already went through this with the golden calf already. Can you grow up already and get over this already? You see, when with the golden calf, you would have waited another 6 hours, everything would have been fine. Moshe would have been back. You wouldn't have gotten any trouble. So now I'm going to make you wait 3 months. See if you can do that. And that became the tikkun. That became the tikkun. And just to close, on Purim it's a mitzvah to get drunk. So you can't tell there is Mordechai and Or Haman. Blessed is Mordechai and Or Haman. What is one of the messages? Many interpretations, but a lot of us try to define people as either, well, he's a blessed one or he's a cursed one. Sometimes we look at ourselves. Well, am I Baruch Orman or am I Baruch Mordechai or Haman? The Or Haman that guy's off course. If I'm Or Haman, why I got to bother to go to Shul? Why I got to bother to do this? We're too discriminating. We're too, well, today's going to be a Baruch Mordechai day. Today I'm going to be really good. Or today the car didn't start. Oh, that's an Or Haman day. It's going to be a lousy day. Give up. No, you know what? You have to get joined. You don't look for differences. Doesn't matter what you are. You know what? The next mitzvah day is the mitzvah you do. Our job is to do what you can. You make the effort, and that's really the story of Purim. And that's, we can get very down on ourselves because we don't always succeed. And Amalek says, that's right, because you're worth nothing. And just give up. You're never going to be anything. And you're not going to be a Talmud Chacham, so why bother to go to Gemara class once in your life? So that's just to give up. Yeshiva Das says, Hashem, with that little mincha, I can give whatever I can give. It's so precious to Hashem. And you do that, and you'll be surprised. You leave Hashem to do the worrying, and Hashem, things will work out. Okay.